Good evening. Welcome to the evening transmission. Saj Dhali on Rajdhani channel of All India Radio, medium wave 50.5 meters, corresponding to 666 kHz. Please stand by. This is All the Radio. We now bring you the comments from the press.
This is All India Radio. You will now hear comments from the press. The Pioneer, in its editorial titled Easy Deal, says, under the stewardship of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India has seen a marked increase in the World Bank's ease of doing business ratings. From being outside the top 100, the country now ranks 63rd, making a 14-point leap from last year. For the third consecutive year, India also figured in the top 10 most improved nations in the world. In fact, the Prime Minister has made India's improvement on this front a matter of personal pride. And while there might be several questions about the methodology of the survey, it only measures parameters from India's two largest cities of Delhi and Mumbai, which are better run and managed than most others. It is an indicator that establishing and running a business in India has become far easier than ever before, and that fear and doubts are ebbing away. One of the key reasons for improvement being the successful implementation of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. The problem is that through a combination of lack of consumer demand and regressive tax terrorism, business itself is suffering, and that is showing in a rapidly slowing economy. With more cases of non-performing assets, that is NPAs, particularly in real estate, popping up at the rate of one every week, it appears that things might get a lot worse before they get better, even if India's ranking in ease of doing business is improving. The Hindustan Times, in its editorial titled The Bad News from the Poll, says the election of 9 women legislators in the 90-member Haryana Assembly and 23 in the 288-member Maharashtra Assembly shows very clearly how women's representation remains a low priority for all political parties. In 2014, the figures were 13 and 20 respectively. This is so despite the fact that there has been a steady increase in women voters in both the state and general elections, a process which should have had a positive effect on their entry into the electoral fray. In Haryana, where the Manohar Lal Khattar government has been aggressively trying to correct gender inequalities with schemes like the Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao, 32 constituencies did not field any woman at all. In fact, while parties did speak about women's issues sporadically, there was little engagement with the question of their participation in the political system. Were it not for women from political dynasties, the number of women would be even less. The Asian Age, in its editorial titled Kartarpur Pact Positive Step, says, even in this hour of very disturbed relations between India and Pakistan, the two countries, after long-winded negotiations filled with not a little suspicion on the Indian side, succeeded in signing the Kartarpur Sahib Corridor Agreement on Thursday for visa-free entry of pilgrims. This will be a matter of great spiritual solace, particularly for Sikh devotees. They will now be able to walk into Pakistan on November 12th to celebrate the 550th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak, the founder of the Sikh faith, at the famous Darbar Sahib Kartarpur Gurdwara, now in Pakistan, where Guru Nanak spent his last days. The shrine is barely 6 km from Dera Baba Nanak in Gurdaspur in India's Punjab. If bilateral relations were normal, the proposal to construct a walking corridor for Indian pilgrims and those of Indian origin living in other countries might have come to fruition long ago. Still, it's just as well that neither the traditional bitterness nor the current stasis in ties between the two nations proved to be an obstacle in the end. New Delhi's chief worry was that Pakistan, that encourages Sikh secessionist elements from Canada and Britain, some of whom live in Pakistan on a long-term basis, will seek to exploit the thousands of Sikhs visiting the shrine for subversive anti-India propaganda. At the same time, New Delhi had no wish to hurt Sikh religious sentiments by throwing a spanner in the works of Kartarpur Corridor. The Kartarpur Sahib facility might ordinarily have served as a useful confidence-building measure between India and Pakistan. It is uncertain if this can be the case now, when ties are especially bad after India's recent move on Kashmir. The Financial Express, in its editorial titled Punishing Dissent Rights, cases recorded as offences against the state in the National Crime Records Bureau NCRB's latest crime in India Statistics Report for 2017, such offences were separately recorded by NCRB only since 2014, saw a jump of 23% from 6,986 cases registered in 2016 to 9,013 registered in 2016. Business Standard, in its editorial titled Another Blow to Telecom Rights, the Supreme Court has pronounced a long time